I'm Charlotte Creaghan. I play Aurora in A Violent Nature, and you're watching Pop Culture with Pat.
What's your favorite scary movie?
Hey guys, welcome back to Pop Culture with Pat. So I'm really excited to be joined by today's guests. Today we're going to be talking about all things the upcoming horror film In a Violent Nature with Aurora herself, Charlotte Crean. Thank you so much for coming on the show today, Charlotte.
Hi, thank you for having me.
You're very welcome. So to kind of start things off, before we, jump into the film, I kind of wanted to start off just so viewers can get to, know you and your work a little bit. Do you know like when did you initially fall in love, with movies in the first place, and how did you kind of get started in acting?
I would say I probably started with uh like theater, with live theater. I think the first thing that I saw was Mamma Mia,
Oh, okay.
and I was yeah. I think I was like six, and I think since then I've just loved it. And then obviously that turned into watching movies and more things. And yeah, and then I started doing like school plays in high school, and then I went to theater school, and now we're here.
All kind of evolved from there. Do you remember,
Yeah.
like, was there any specific movies or any specific, I know you mentioned like Mamma Mia, like seeing that. Was there any
Yeah.
specific films or anything that you remember just watching it and going, that's like what I want to be doing, like years down the road?
Um, I think in terms of film, maybe Safe with
Okay.
Julianne Moore by Todd Haynes.
Okay.
That movie. I love Julianne Moore. And I think with that, that was like very much um the like epitome of like film acting for me. And I loved her performance in that. So there's been a ton and it's evolved, but that one is the first thing that comes to mind.
Kind of sticks out. I mean, you can't
Yeah.
go wrong there. I mean, that's a pretty great choice to, to kind of start off with. And now, you're starring in the upcoming horror film In a Violent Nature, which has been getting a lot of buzz, since doing, some of the festivals and stuff like that and getting like a wide release coming up. Um, and it isn't exactly your normal slasher film from what, audiences can kind of see
Yeah.
in the trailers. It's all done through the point of view of the killer, which we don't always, there has been like some films, but we don't always get that, which makes it kind of fun. What was it initially that attracted you to the project, and what was your audition like for it as well?
When I first got the audition, there was very little information on it. And then once I did the callback, then they sent me the script. And once I read the script, um, I was like, this is really interesting. And I've never read or seen anything like this. And what makes it unique is that it's all in perspective of the killer. And I thought that was cool. And also when I was reading it, it really felt like um, Johnny, the killer, was sort of like part of nature. And for me, I don't know if the audience got this or how, yeah, how it seems like on screen. But when I read the script, it kind of felt like nature's revenge almost,
No,
is
that
how I felt. Yeah.
that's pretty cool. So like when you actually got this a script, I imagine like in there, did it actually say that it was going to be filmed through the perspective of the killer, or did you not know that till like later on, like basically when you guys started shooting?
Well, when I read the script, there was um like him walking through nature, that was all in there. So it was very yeah, very clear. And that was all like written in there, like Johnny walking through a field, Johnny walking through the forest. We see Aurora and Brody through Johnny's eyes. So yeah,
Okay.
that was all in the script.
Okay, so it was
Yeah.
a pretty clear indication that it was going to be done through that. So yeah, I can imagine, like I
Yeah.
said, it's not every day that you see a slasher film done that way. So prior to working on the film, though, I'm curious, what was your relationship with the horror genre going into this?
Um, well, actually, in the years leading up to this, I've become more and more excited about horror. But that took a long time when I first the first horror movie I watched was The Ring,
There you
and
go.
I
It's a
think I
good
was
one.
like 10 and I was terrified and I didn't watch another horror movie, I think, until like after high school. So,
Traumatized you a little bit.
yeah, I was traumatized. And then the more I got into watching more films, then I started watching more horror movies.
Do you have any, because I know you said it was like a little bit before you kind of got back into it. As far as like recent memory, do you have any favorite horror movies that kind of come to your mind off the top of your head?
Possession, I
Oh, okay.
think.
The one from
Yeah.
the 80s?
Yeah.
Wow. That's a
Yeah.
good choice.
Yeah. I don't know if that's like fully counts as horror,
Yeah.
but
No, I would definitely,
yeah.
I'd put it in there.
Yeah. Yeah, I loved that. And there was this Polish movie called The Lure and from 2015, and it's about um these mermaids, like these killer mermaids. It's kind of like a horror musical, a
Hmm.
fantasy story. And that one is like a mesh of genres. So I wouldn't say that's like a pure horror movie,
Straight up horror.
but that one, yeah,
But that's the fun thing with like horror, honestly, though, too, is I think that genre specifically, you're able to do so much with it. A lot of times it's
yeah,
not just straight up horror. There's, different genres kind of blended in as well. You can explore it, a lot of different topics, with it too. So I haven't heard of that one personally, and I'm a pretty big like horror fan, so that'll be something I'll have to add to my list to check out for sure then.
yeah, yeah, you should. It's crazy.
So what kind of, I know you said so initially you didn't get much of a description when you first heard about the project, but like once you were actually like auditioning for the role and stuff like that, what kind of description did you get for your character? I guess like even like once you're reading the script and stuff.
At the description that I got for the character was, I'm pretty sure it was, I know New Age was in there. New Age, um, precocious, I can't remember, and confident, or like
Okay.
a guise of confidence. It was something like that.
Now,
But I remember specifically New Age, and I thought that was an interesting descriptor.
did you, because I know sometimes actors will do this, sometimes they don't. Did you kind of come up with your own backstory for the character and what she's kind of been up to this point when we meet her in the film, or no?
Yeah, I did. I did because there's this whole like relationship with Brody, the other character in the film. Yeah, to make that scene
Thanks.
make sense for myself, I kind of created a backstory for that in the
That's cool.
character.
Yeah, because like I
Yeah.
said, I know like sometimes I talk to people and like some people won't. Some people just kind of go with like, what's in the script. So that's interesting. The film, so it's the again, we talked about it shot from the point of view of the killer. What was it like filming something like that from that? What was it like filming it from your perspective where, normally the camera is, focused on you guys, where this time it's through the eyes of like the killer.
Well, when we were shooting it, it didn't feel like that
Okay.
because the camera was, besides that, the campfire scene, where we're all like chatting around the campfire at night. Um, that felt interesting because it did kind of feel like the camera was like leering at us because it was all like behind us.
Yeah.
So that you kind of felt like someone was watching you from behind.
Must have been
But
kind of creepy
besides,
a little bit.
yeah, yeah. And I think that it helped for that scene. But for the other scenes, besides it being the camera being a little bit like further away from you than normal, it didn't necessarily feel any different. Yeah.
But Ryan Barrett, he plays our undead killer Johnny. What was it like getting to, work with him and having him chase after you guys, kind of around, the woods and stuff?
It was cool. He when he was in costume because of the prosthetics and all of the makeup, and then like all like his whole costume was covering him. Um, I like for the first few days filming with him, I barely got to chat with him because it was difficult through his mask, and also I barely knew what he looked like because of all of it. So it definitely added to it. And um, yeah, it was really scary. You just like turn around and he'd be right there. But he was amazing. The physicality that he brought to the role, and when we were filming, especially the scene with just me and him,
Yeah.
it was genuinely scary.
Yeah, I was
Yeah.
gonna say I feel like they probably, did that like on purpose where you said like initially where you hadn't really seen him and then getting to work with him with all the prosthetics and stuff like that on, you said it where you don't really know a person and you just see someone coming at you in this, this costume and, chasing you and stuff like that. It's just like a natural reflex, I feel like for someone to kind of go into panic mode or survivor mode because it's like some weird person's coming after me with like a, an axe or something like that.
Yeah, for
What was it
sure.
like once you guys were done like filming? Did you guys like I imagine it must have been kind of like funny like afterwards once you guys actually got to kind of like meet each other and hang out like once the filming was done.
Yeah, because he's a very tall, like broad man, and then the costume adds to it. And so then when he like slowly took it off, yeah, it
You're just
was
like,
funny.
oh,
Like there were just a lot of funny moments, or him just like eating with with like the full costume on. Um, and then yeah, slowly, I think when we were in like the car together later, like driving to and from set, then that's when I actually got to chat with him, like either after he had taken off his costume or right before he had gotten into the full um, get up. Then that's when we were able to chat. And he's
that's
very gentle, grounded guy. So
I feel like
yeah.
a lot of times it seems from at least from what I've heard from most people that end up playing, serial killers, monsters and stuff like that in these films. A lot of times they're these, like you said, big kind of like broad shoulder guys and, looking at them, they might be a little intimidating, but then you get to actually get to know them and work with them and you find out that they're some of the nicest people that you could, meet afterwards.
Yeah, for sure.
Being like the film's like, it's definitely inspired by like, slashers, Friday the 13th, movies like The Burning and stuff like that. Did you revisit or did you watch any of those films in the first time to kind of prepare for your role in this?
No, I didn't. Well, I we were definitely very aware about like Friday the 13th, and at the end the actress from Friday the 13th is in this one, which is very cool. Um but yeah, there was usually we kind of came into it very fresh, and then like as we were filming, then that's when I started um sort of like researching more and discovering new things. But when the filming started, there was no like list of films
Interesting.
that, yeah, that were references. I think he wanted to keep us on our toes.
Yeah.
And then sort of, yeah, as we moved on, yeah, that's
Yeah.
when I started
Start looking more into it.
reference. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like I know, like the first time I saw the trailer, that was kind of like the first thing I thought of was Friday the 13th, just with like Jason Voorhees, the way you find this guy in the woods and he's going after these people out in the woods and stuff like campers, and just the way that he kind of looks like reminded me of like a Jason Voorhees. So yeah, I was curious
Yeah,
if
for sure.
sometimes directors will do that. They'll be like, oh hey, like watch these movies to kind of prepare for this, but. Maybe it was
Hmm.
almost better in this way to kind of have you guys come in with that fresh mindset and not have any preconceived notions of what the film, how that was gonna like play out. Maybe, maybe that worked out for the best overall.
Yeah, I think for the obliviousness of the characters sometimes.
Yeah, so I mean, independent filmmaking and horror kind of go, hand in hand.
Hmm.
Overall, what was just your experience of getting to work on a horror film, and was there anything that surprised you about the experience overall?
Um, yeah, I think this was my first horror film that I worked on. So I think I had um, an idea that maybe it would be a sort of like a dark filming experience or that it would be scary possibly while filming it. Um, but it was quite the opposite of that. It was very light on set and very warm. And I think also because of what we were filming and the gore, because it's so extreme and outrageous at times that it becomes funny. And so there was like obviously a lot of, um, yeah, like humor and joking around. And that definitely surprised me. And the warmth of the people on set, everyone there, like horror fans in general, are just like so into it and so into um, like the process of it and um, movies in general. So everyone was like
Right.
super passionate and into it. And also when we went to the premiere, having the audience there, it felt like they were really part of the movie, which I wasn't expecting. That really surprised me of how wholesome it was, like the whole experience. Yeah.
I mean, that's awesome to have that you had that experience. But yeah, I mean, I can tell you, just like horror fans in general, I feel like some of the best fans that you can, meet out there. And once the movie comes out and kind of gets its like wide release, if you start doing like horror conventions and stuff like that, you'll meet a lot of cool people that are just really passionate about the genre and the different characters and stuff like that. So if you get a chance, it's fun to I usually check out a couple of the ones that are local to me. And it's just fun to see people, meeting the different actors and filmmakers, but also just the like the different cosplays, people dressing up and stuff like that. It's really fun.
Yeah, for sure.
Now, did you
Yeah.
guys, because I thought, and correct me if I'm wrong, I thought I was like either listening to or read like an interview where did you guys have to do like a decent amount of reshooting on the film at one point? And I don't know, I can't remember like the top of my head like why, like the reason why you guys had to do it, but was that a challenge kind of having to go back and refilm like certain scenes or?
Yeah, I think the reshoot was about a year apart.
Oh wow.
I think there was yeah, there were some problems with the location, and then they ended up um, recasting
Oh, the killer.
Johnny.
Yep.
Yeah, and we were originally shooting in a small town in Ontario, just outside of Toronto, and then for the second shoot or the reshoot, we shot in Sault Ste. Marie, which is in northern Ontario,
Okay.
and which made a huge difference. And for especially for Chris Nash, the director, he I think really felt that that location. He's from Sault Ste. Marie,
Oh, that's
and yeah, and I think he felt the location um, was
just worked
felt
better.
yeah, it just worked a lot better. And it when I watched the film, I was like, oh yeah, this is
You like the when you end up
yeah,
seeing the final product. I mean, that's cra I mean,
yeah,
I know like obviously, it's a, like an indie project, so it's like, you guys don't have just like all this money to kind of be thrown out there and like getting back to filming, but I was like, that's a quite a bit of a gap like in between filming, like where it's like, you film all your scenes and then almost a year later, like you said, coming back and having to get back into those characters and that mindset. Was this kind of like the first experience that you've had doing, something like that as far as that goes, like acting wise?
yeah. That was definitely a first for me. There have been like different like shoots a few months apart, but this was a
Yeah.
first for me to do it like kind of all over. And I was really excited, honestly, because it's like a second chance to do
Yeah, it's good
everything.
again.
And like everything, there's so many things when you're done filming. Um, like I wish I could do that, and I would have changed like certain parts of it. So it was, um, yeah, I felt really lucky to be like, oh, I get to do that all again. As an actor, I'm sure other people
Yeah.
felt a little different.
I was gonna say, like, I won't ask you for like specifics, but was there stuff when you went back the second time, were there certain choices that you made personally for your character that you did change compared to how you did it the first time initially, just like in general?
Yeah, I think so. I think I felt a little bit more grounded in the character and comfortable. And there were just like other little things that I was able to add as like a background for the character. So I had more time to sort
Yeah.
of think about it. And
mean, no, I mean, yeah, I imagine just like being
okay.
getting to like be in the character, like a little bit more and like jumping back into him versus playing the character kind of for the first time. It makes sense that you were just like a little bit more comfortable with, doing certain things with the character or just like adding, different things to her. So that's really cool. I mean, not like in a way some people you could initially you could have been like oh like could be seen as a negative, but in your situation I feel like you said it was a second chance, and so you can kind of go back and maybe add some things
Mhm.
that you didn't initially think of like in the first time around.
Yeah, definitely.
So to kind of and do you have, as far as just like in general, I guess like working on the movie too, do you have any like favorite memories of just working with everybody on the cast, directors, the rest of the cast, as far as like the characters and stuff like that?
Yeah, I think the campfire scene, that was really fun. I think that was like maybe the longest scene um, with the characters, with with the characters without Johnny. I think that was the longest scene of just like us chatting, and that was super fun. That was a night shoot, so we started at like sunset, yeah, and went all through the night, and yeah, it was really cool. It was like the whole um, camera system that they set up to film that scene was really cool. Just like, yeah, filming all around us. And then like you could see Johnny in the back. And yeah, that scene was just fun. And that whole story that is being told at the beginning of that scene. And also Chris let us like improv during that a little bit, and he was really
Oh, that's
flexible with us adding some dialogue. So yeah, that was very fun.
I
And then
mean,
also the cliff scene. That was fun to shoot.
you can't go wrong. I feel like, I mean, personally, like I like camping, so I mean, I know like maybe not everybody does, but it's like to me, you can't go wrong doing like a scene like camping or just like, yeah, being around a fire. We're kind of getting to that time of the year where, spring, summer, we're going outside with some friends and just, having some like marshmallows and stuff like around the fire. So I imagine that, yeah, that must have just been a lot of fun just to kind of hang out with, with everybody. And night shoots
Yeah,
are fun. What time of the year were you guys filming? Was it nice out or was it a little like cold?
it was cold.
It was cold.
It was
Okay.
cold. Yeah, it was May, but it was in like northern Ontario, so it definitely cooled down. It
Yeah.
wasn't too bad. Um,
Because I've done a
but
night
yeah,
scene.
that kind of like added to the energy of it too.
Well, that's
Yeah.
good. Yeah. Because I was say, because I've done
Yeah.
like a night scene before. So I'm in New Hampshire, and
Okay, yeah.
I filmed, this was a couple years ago. I was in Rhode Island, and it was no like middle of November, and we were doing some scenes. It was for Hocus Pocus too, and yeah, it was very cold. I'll say, as you can imagine, like New England, winters.
Yeah.
I remember we shot until it was like 2 or 3 in the morning or whatever, and just like I was prepared. Like luckily I went down there and I think I had probably
Yeah.
like I don't know 4 or 5 almost different layers on me, just to kind of be prepared. And I'm glad that I did because
Yeah.
it was quite chilly. And like I remember the witches, they kept coming out with like blankets and putting it on them like kind of in between takes and stuff
Yeah.
like that.
Oh my
So
God.
I'm glad, even though it sounds like it was chilly, like I'm glad it wasn't like absolutely freezing for you guys, like where it was like beginning
Yeah.
like or like middle of like May where you said.
Yeah. No, wasn't too bad. And we got coats too.
That's
Yeah.
nice. There you go. And yeah,
Yeah.
like you
Yeah.
said, you had like a fire like going as well. So at least you had the heat coming from, that too. It wasn't just like you guys just kind of like hanging out in the woods.
Yeah, for sure.
To wrap things up for you, Charlotte, is there anything else that you'd like to say about working on In a Violent Nature and to the fans out there who will, get to see it soon?
Yeah, it was just like it was a super fun experience, like from beginning to end. And watching it at the premiere was a pretty surreal experience. And what I was saying earlier, I didn't expect sort of that feeling of wholesomeness from the audience, like before, during, and after the film, and the energy from the audience. So if you watch it in theaters, it's a super fun experience, and the energy that you feel from the people around you, and when you're laughing together or screaming together, it's a super fun experience. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I know. I always recommend. I mean, I'm all about like the theatrical experience. So it's like anytime that I can experience, any film, but like horror in particular, if I can go to
For
the
sure.
theater and watch it, always do that. So yeah, make sure
Mhm.
you guys, check out the film when it hits theaters. And then for you too, Charlotte, just so fans can kind of keep up to date with with this film, but also with your work, moving forward. Where can fans kind of find you as far as like social media and stuff like that goes?
Yeah, so my on social media, it's just my name, Charlotte Creaghan. And yeah, same with my IMDb if you want to see some other stuff. Yeah.
Perfect. Well, yeah, I'll make sure to once the video's up, I'll make sure to put like your the handle like in the description so that way, people can give you a follow. It'll be exciting, I'm sure, for you guys once the film, has its wider release and hits theaters, and then you guys will probably start getting tagged in different things, on social media and stuff like that. That always seems to happen with especially I feel like with horror films. So I'm excited to kind of for you guys to see the reaction once everyone else gets to experience it.
Yeah, me too.
Well, thank you, Charlotte, so much. It's been wonderful getting to talk to you, about the film, a little bit about, the rest of your career as well. And, congratulations in advance on, the film getting its wide release and for everyone getting to check it out. And can't wait to see what's next for you. And, you're welcome back anytime in the future.
Okay, thank you so much. Hi, I'm Charlotte Creaghan. I play Aurora in A Violent Nature, and you're watching Pop Culture with Pat.